Good afternoon. I don't know where in the world you are right now, but I'm calling from Los Angeles.
Nice to see you, Michael. I'm in Lagos, Nigeria.
Okay, okay, good. Um, so I've also want to ask questions about Paga, if I can. What inspired you to start it?
Yeah. Um, well, first of all, it's really good to be here. Thanks for inviting me to speak to the audience. I'm first of all excited by the fact of what you've built with the Michael Taiwo Scholar Program, and been following it now for I think a couple years, and then we eventually met a year ago, I think it was. Um, and yeah, so I'm really excited that you're pulling people together. And I remember when we had a conversation in my office, I think
Yeah,
I made a comment. I was like, I think you should bring everybody together. There's
yeah,
something. And so I'm really excited to see the magic that happened out of this gathering and people just getting to meet each other and just getting to connect, etc. Um, so that's really cool, and I'm glad Paga can play a role in this event and in more things down the line. Um, so look, I think for me, what got me going on Paga is still what excites me today. Is that if you look at any country around the world, for them to really hit their potential, you have to make payments and access to finance an afterthought. Like it just has to be something that works, right? For society that uplifts everyone, and makes it possible for that person who owns a restaurant to be able to easily collect payments from their customers, easily pay their vendors, easily pay their staff without having to worry about those things and access the finances that they need to grow their business, right? The example I give people all the time is, when I was in the US, I would walk into, if I wanted to buy a new car, I would just walk into the dealership. I would not do anything before. I would walk into the dealership, test drive a few cars, and then when I pick the one I want, I'll negotiate the price, and then they'll ask me to fill out a few forms, and within an hour or so, I'll walk up with a car. Loan approved, payment term set, move on, right? Pretty straightforward. I think about these things like and we don't have that in Africa today, right? And so this is what really got me started and what motivates me today. And as Paga, the company where we are today, we celebrated 16 years earlier this year in April. So we're really excited about the journey. That we I look at it that we've concluded Act One of our journey, right? And in Act One, we built a brand that is well known. We achieved profitability, a business that is being used by over 27 million people. And we built a robust infrastructure here in Nigeria that is being used by our direct customers, as well as over 210 companies that are building on that infrastructure, right? And now we're going into Act Two, which is that we've established Nigeria. So in Act Two, we want to be that payments and financial services global infrastructure for Africans, right? And not just in Nigeria, but to go to the rest of Africa, right? And so we're really excited about that. We're excited about what it means for us as we go forward.
Now, what inspired Paga to partner with the Michael Taiwo Scholarships?
Yeah. Um, Listening to your story, Michael, like really, and what you are doing, really reminded me of how I got going to go to the US, right? I remember sitting around with some of my friends. One's dad was an ambassador. The other's parents were in the US, and they were talking about how they're going to go to school in the US, all of this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I hadn't thought about that, like, but okay, what do you have to do that? Oh, you have to take this exam called SAT. And I'm like, okay. So I started learning about what SAT was, and eventually I told my mom, and then she's like, how are we going to pay for this SAT, right? And it happened that the day we're talking about it, my uncle's friend was visiting us from the US. And so he said, oh, I'll pay it for you. And that was it. And so I was able to quickly get the form, fill it out, get it to him before he left. And then he went and paid, I think then $40 or whatever it was, right? And that set me off on my journey, right? Like that one act of kindness, right? And and I have many more acts of kindness of other people have for me on my journey that I'm eternally grateful for. And so for me personally, like I was inspired by this. I was like, what a brilliant idea, right? Find the best, smartest people who show the grit, who show that they're really going to fight to get into these schools, right? And give them the lift they need, the one break they need, right? They still have to do the work. They still have to study. They still have to do all the stuff, right? They still have to get in, but they've already shown through your process that they have what it takes, right? And take it better than them by paying for this GMAT, GRE, or whatever it may be, right? And helping them on their journey, right? So that really, like, just my own personal story, and then just hearing about it, I was like, this is something I would personally love to be involved with, and I think it's the kind of thing that my company would also love to be involved.
Thank you. So how do you think like events like this can bridge the gap between diaspora and the opportunities back home?
Yeah. So one of the things that I'm excited about many things about this event, right? But one of the things I see there is an opportunity to bring people together and for them to start learning about other things that are happening back home, right? As well. So then they can choose what they want to key into. But I think the first thing is just bringing people together and then they become friends, they stay connected, they help each other out, right? And then I think the magic just starts happening back that way. And my strong view is that we don't need everybody to come back to Nigeria. We just need everybody to be minded about what's going on at home, right? And see how they can play some role, right? In the development of Nigeria, right? Whether that role is as simple as just doing great work where they are in the US, so that the day that their company is thinking of Nigeria, they're like, isn't there that Nigerian woman in that department? Let's get her view. She does great work here. I mean, they can't be that bad, can they? Right? Like, let's talk to her, right? And then you realize, oh, okay, all this stuff we're hearing in the news. I mean, well, here's this person we're talking to. Like, okay, let's go, right? Um, and I've seen it happen, right? I've seen it happen. I helped Cisco. I used to be at Cisco Systems after business school in the acquisitions and venture team. And I led a deal in South Africa, and was the first time ever doing a deal on the continent. And it was pretty much me helping educate, right? But because I already had the credential of doing work, good work in the US, they had I had their trust, right? And the trust of the leadership, right? And I remember the day we were getting the deal announced, my boss said to me, and that was, he was like, Tayo, you know what's interesting is that you got this deal through without any of us meeting the partners until I came for this trip to where we're announcing it, right? And I was like, oh wow. He's like, that's how much we trust you, right? Because we trust your judgment. And I'm like, I hadn't even thought about that, right? But I think it's like, but that just shows you like the power of just doing good work. If I think about my friend Ime Achibong at Facebook, right? I think Ime is single-handedly responsible for Facebook's investment on this continent, right? Because he had the ear of Mark. He had done great work leading strategy for Facebook, and Mark came down, and then they made all these investments. And then after that, Google saw what they were doing. Google came down. Google made all these investments. Microsoft came down, right? So all of this stuff just from one person, the power of one person, right? And I don't think Ime would sit and try to take any glory. I know him, like, but I know that the work he did behind the scenes is what led towards this, right? And so I just say for everyone in the room, do great work wherever you are. Get to meet people for the sake of meeting them, right? Stay connected to the continent, stay connected to Nigeria. Whether you come back or not, right after school, you should stay connected.
Thank you so much. And thanks for partnering with us. Thank you for supporting us. many of the students are here today because of your generosity, and I hope we use more and more of Paga's product because you guys make the best product.
I appreciate you saying that, and looking forward to continue partnering with the Michael Taiwo Scholarship.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.